Hi, I'm Massimiliano, but you can call me Max. I'm a filmmaker and a writer, but please check out the links to my work and credentials in the description below. Okay, so let's talk about storytelling. In fact, I hope that my words will give you that extra oomph that you need to write your book, movie, TV series, and whatnot. I want to assume that you're a creative person, and one way or another, you always write. Short, long stories, scripts, and why not? You're even an idea generator, but you don't know what to do with the material that you generate. Perhaps you have started writing something right now and then you just got stuck. Well, you're in the right place because I'm going to tell you my way of starting something and finishing it, because I always finish what I start. So let's get to it. I'm not claiming that after this chat you're going to win an Oscar or anything of that kind. You still could though. No, my intention is certainly motivational, but surely to impart techniques that I've learned. Some could be obvious to you, and hopefully others will be very useful indeed. Now, why I'm the right mentor, teacher, tutor, coach for you? Well, like me, you have read them all. Stephen King on writing, Robert McKee's story, Sid Field's screenplay, John York Into the Woods, Blake Snyder Save the Cat, and the list can go on and on and on and on and on. They are all very good, and if you're a beginner, they're certainly indispensable, so please do read them. However, like I said, they're great theories, but they're still theories. Instead, I'm offering my way of writing story, something that I use successfully with my short films, which you can find in this channel, my scripts, which are still in development, and a novel that I'm editing right now. I want to emphasize that I'm not trying to teach you what to write or how to write your film idea or book idea or any other idea. I'm here to tell you how I do it without fail. So, without further ado, let's get started with the idea. Yeah. Ideas, eh? They come from anywhere and everywhere. When you wake up in the morning, whilst you're talking to your loved one or friends, whilst walking, jogging, playing sports at the pub, anywhere really. Our mind works in mysterious ways. Just make sure that you're ready when that damn erratic piece of machinery between your ears starts spewing out stuff to you. Do not be unprepared. So make sure that you always bring with you a notebook and a pen. Well, if you were born before 1985, of course. Everyone else, slightly younger, you should be able to record your thoughts on your device, telephone, whatever. However, you gotta be organized. Make sure that you file these ideas somewhere safe, in a physical, digital folder. And if there are more ideas connected to this specific one, the one that you chose, add them to it in time. Otherwise, make a new folder with new ideas and move on. By the way, a little piece of advice. When you get to write your short film, long film, short story, or novel, don't forget to always keep that very first original idea in mind, even if it was just rough. What I mean is that very first sparkle that came to your mind, that concept that made your heart pump faster when it came to you. I'm saying this because when you add more scenes and concepts and whatnot, it is easy to muddy up a perfectly fine idea, especially when it's simple and effective. Now, going back to the original point where I said that idea comes from anywhere and everywhere, I'm going to tell you how my ideas for Respect 101, Happy Birthday My Dear, but also a still unproduced TV series called Little Red Buddy Herrings came from.
Welcome to Respect 101, the only academy where you either learn or you die.
No, please don't! Okay. Years ago, Stephen Rangot, DOP of this project, asked me if I had any ideas for a new short film. I sent him a few paragraphs. Were mostly fleshed out paragraphs. However, one of them was just a line, which was saying, an old man is staring at the camera, or something like that. Stephen came back to me and said that he liked pretty much all of them, and surprise, surprise, the one about the old man wasn't quite there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, don't understand. What are you trying to say?
It was right, but there was something that was ticking and ticking in my head, which was saying, I need to tell the story of this man. I know the other ones, I know the other paragraphs that I sent them, and they're a little bit fleshed out, but this man staring at the camera, it was more interesting to me in ways that I didn't understand at the time. But because I didn't have a story as such, the first thing that came to me instead, it was the ending, where, and the moment I figured out the ending, I went back and I wrote the whole story organically, and that's how I've done it.
Hello?
Mrs. Jackson.
Yes?
I am,
And have been for many years, your husband's lover.
Happy Birthday, My Dear was an idea that came from a story that I heard. Someone told me that a lady got a telephone call from a friend who put doubts in her head about her husband. Of course, things like this normally escalate. In this person's case, did not. In my short, you betcha.
This is what I think of you. Don't laugh at me.
Little Red Bloody Herrings is an unproduced 8-part TV miniseries which was in the list of 2019 Film Market Hub Best Scripts and was also included in the 2020 UK online Pitchbox scripted series in the special mentions. It is a murder mystery that is based on stories that I wrote when I was a teenager and in which I was killing, well, I didn't kill them, I promise, all of my friends. Of course, the version that I did, it's based on that, so it's a 10.0 version of that basic story. So, although I would have many more examples, including a 600 pages novel that I'm now in the process of editing and other unproduced scripts, I just wanted to give practical examples of where and when you can get ideas. Anyway, there will be a moment when you think that you have enough stored in your folders that will make a great tale. Maybe you have an entire world in your head, but you still need an important ingredient: characters. For characters, it helps to write a paragraph or even pages about each of them. Something will always come out for sure. People you meet, or you met, or you know right now, or you have read about recently on newspapers or non-fiction books. Combine their personalities and switch genders if you need to. Play around, have fun. Whatever you do, ask yourselves these questions as well. Who is your protagonist? What does he/she does as a job? What are their hobbies? Do they have special skills that may be useful later on in your stories? Why are they heroes or anti-heroes? Give them something, a limp, anything that they must overcome so that they can change later on. Change is important. It's key to stories. You should ask yourself who they're going to be when everything ends. What's their aim, their goals, what makes them tick, and so on and so forth. And whether they self-sacrifice, trying to help somebody, try to gain somebody's trust along the way, love, battle, anything, you name it. As a writer, you must know your characters inside out. The same way you should know your brothers, sisters, friends, and even your worst enemies. Enemies or nemesis, you always need one or more. Besides, it makes an audience or readers connect with your protagonist. We all like main characters who win at the end or die in trying. And if they're anti-heroes, we still like them when they end up doing something good. And by the way, enemies are not always people or living things. Many times, enemies can be represented by society issues, events, which seem unsurmountable at first, or literally close to impossible for the heroes. When the payoff happens, then we, as an audience, we feel involved, engaged, moved, and so on and so forth. Okay, next thing to do, it's naming your characters. Yes, you do need a great name. Whether you like it or not, names define our lives, and you see all the time in books, films and stuff, a name that stick out, and you really imagine stories happening in your head, and you already see the person coming before he's coming. Names are this important. Read non-fiction, books, newspapers, or better, go outside, open your eyes and ears like you've never done before. You'll find the most unusual names that maybe they are not going to be useful right now, but they may be later on. Okay, now let's talk about another great part of idea process, or my idea process anyway. I never start working on an idea until I have a clear ending in mind. Now, what I'm about to say, it might sound slightly dramatic, but bear with me for at least a minute while I'm trying to give you my next 2 cents. So when you write your story, you have to think yourself as a captain of a ship full of people. It is dark and stormy, and your ending is your lighthouse. It's a lighthouse a bit far away and is your only beacon of light. You may not necessarily get back to shore in one piece with everyone. You know that already. You have to make sacrifices, compromises. But that light down there, it's your hope, and it's guiding you. And of course, the ending eventually may change. But you have tricked your mind to at least go ahead and finish, conclude, whatever you want to call it, your book, screenplays, whatnot. Okay, so this is pretty much what I want to say about ideas. Now, let's move on to the next topic. And before doing that, perhaps let's get a cup of coffee, cup of tea, change of attire, structure and plotting. Oh, well, I did say coffee and change of attire, right? Didn't I? Anyway, I took it seriously, alright? Well, let me finish this and I'll talk to you about it. As much as I take seriously story, plot, characterization, and general structure. So anyway, now you gather your best ideas, as we discussed before, and concepts, alright? You're now faced with the ominous blank page, and I can see that for some people, it could be daunting indeed. Yes, it is a big block of white, and there is that blinking cursor that you'd like to curse as much. Blink this, you son of a bitch! Okay, so if this is really you, forget about these negative thoughts and try this approach instead. Okay, copy and paste all the ideas that you have generated all these days, weeks, years, etc., etc., directly onto that white page. And ta-da! It's not white anymore, is it? Does it feel less painful? Less daunting, perhaps? Anyway, after that, divide the different segments of your ideas into scenes and sequences that are parts of the plot or the story. hang on a second. You know the difference between plot and story, right? Right. Okay, let's assume you don't know. In the meantime, I remind myself the distinction anyway. So story is what the whole tale, characters, journey, etc. is all about. The whole thing. Imagine a real event and happened like a coup d'etat, war, or a natural disaster that occurred. The plot instead is what you decide to describe and show in the exact sequence you want to do it. So in our examples, you could say that the plot is your point of view regarding this coup d'etat, this war, or natural disaster. So with this in mind, I start placing the events of my plot in the order I would like to see them, from the beginning to the end. I even create subcategories called Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. So literally the beginning, middle, and end. And I place the events under each act so that even if later I'll shuffle them around or edit them around, I can always reorder them how I wish. In fact, I would normally call this document version 1, and effectively is the unabridged version of my whole plot. Okay, so now that I have this unabridged version of my intentions, my ideas, the way I want them ordered, I will not touch this version ever again. I will only use it as a reference. So I will either copy and paste it or I'll save it, whatever you want to do, but don't touch it. Use it as a reference for later on, because you may need it later on. So you won't destroy the original. And as you make big changes, you're better off save and save and save and save until you create version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, version 5, and the list can go on and on and on and on. But please do not destroy the original because you will regret it. During this phase, is also preferable if you use a corkboard to organize your ideas. And you split it in Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. You take some index cards or post-it or just some small square colored papers. In each of them, you write brief descriptions of the key sequences, scenes, or events of your movie and book, even a hint to your dialogues if you still don't have a proper scene in mind. In Act 1, obviously, we'll put all of the scenes and all of the dialogues and all of the bits that you want to put in Act 1, in the order that, not necessarily the exact order that you saw, but in that spot, in the Act 1. In Act 2, you'll do the same thing. In Act 3, you'll do the same thing. You'll see that having the corkboard in front of you, whether it's a digital corkboard or whether it's preferably a real one would be better, that will help you immensely as you write your stuff. So have your digital plot, as I said, on a word processor or Final Draft or whatever you want, and then have the corkboard as well. And that's very useful because you can actually take your post-it, your notes and stuff, and you can shuffle them around and you can visualize the whole thing in front of you. Sometimes even you can actually draw things if you want to, or you can put ticks or line on. If a scene is something that really changes your character, it's probably preferable if you write the character at that point. It will change this way or the other way. Why? Because when you start writing, you don't want to have these extra thoughts in your head. You just want to get on with the writing. So having that structure in your head, it helps immensely. Okay, so now you have your corkboard full of the ideas that you have ordered in the way you wanted to, and the document, the reference document, and perhaps the saved versions with similar things but more detailed. At this point, if you feel confident enough, and even if you don't, you should even write a page of synopsis or at least a bit sheet. A bit sheet is a document where you spell out the plot of your book or movie with either bulleted or numbered brief sentences or even short paragraphs. Basically, a short version of what happens in each scene. Either way, unless you're making a short film that you will shoot with your friends and you watch it alone, or write a story for yourself and yourself only. When you're looking for a literary agent or a producer, you will need to provide a one-page synopsis that sells your book, feature film, or TV series. And trust me when I say that it is better to write this synopsis or bit sheet now rather than later. Guilty as charged. Well, right at the moment you have not written your novel, screenplay, or whatnot, so these things are still not that precious to you. So when you finish your masterpiece, you'll find out it will be very hard to condense in a page what you wrote, because it may be difficult to part away from everything you poured down on the page. A bit like trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube dilemma. Oh, come on, man. Come on. Come on, go back inside. Come on. Come on. Oh, no.
You make me feel sick to the stomach.
What? No, you got it wrong, miss. I'm just trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube. That's it. That's what I'm trying to
The
do.
lack of respect is sickening.
Huh?
You either learn or you die.
Die? For some toothpaste? What is going on? What is going on here? Whoa, lady. Look, if it's upsetting, I'll go outside, I'll buy a box of toothpaste, and I'll come back before you say cheese, alright? Hey.
Do not patronize me.
No, I'm not. Hey, whoa, what's that? A flying Deus Ex Machina? Yes, it is a flying Deus... Look, have a look behind you. Look. See you later, suckers!
I know where you're going, so spare me.
Actually, I hate to break it to you, but no serious writer would ever write anything without a plan. And if you read somewhere that some do, well, they've been working in the business for so long that quite likely the plan now lives inside their heads. However, let's say that you just start writing your novel without plan, no corkboard, no synopsis, no order notes, and that kind of stuff. Well, you might find yourself in multiple cul-de-sacs, end of roads, and whatnot. So please don't tell me that you write without plans, not even in the comments. But if you do and it works, well, forget what I'm saying. However, if it never works for you without plans, so if you start writing and it doesn't work for you, well, no wonder why you have writer's blocks, you know. Don't wonder. That's it. That's your problem. Anyway, now you have put down all of your ideas in the right order. Do I repeat? For now, nothing is completely set in stone, okay? It is time to start writing this amazing tale of despair, amusement, adventure, and yada 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 yada. If you're working on a screenplay, it would help to start writing the scene headlines in advance. So, go back to your synopsis and or beat sheet or plan. Split the key moments of your story in scene headlines, one for each scene. You do that, and you'll see that it will be easier to write the screenplay later when you have to add dialogues and extra action details. An average feature screenplay has between 40 and 60 scenes. And I'm taking into consideration a 120-minute long movie and at about 2, 3, 4 pages minute per scene. Although modern blockbusters, as you know, are much longer than this, 3-4 hours. Of course, there will be fewer scenes to take into consideration if it is a TV pilot. There could be between 24-30 pages for a sitcom or 45-60 pages for a drama. Bear in mind that if you are using Final Draft, it normally formats the script in a way that is a page per minute. If instead you're writing a short story or a novel, the format will be obviously different from a movie or a TV script. But the principle or the principles are very similar. So split the different part of your plan, synopsis, etc. into chapters and paragraphs rather than the scene headlines. as you write or copy and paste all of your ideas under your headlines, under your paragraphs and stuff, you may notice that more ideas will come to you. And you can add them to the existing movie scenes or book of chapters, so go for it. And by the way, during this process, you should write as fast as you can without concentrating too much on typos and general errors. You gotta focus solely on your story and characters. Write down what you see without looking back to refine anything, because I don't know about you, but personally, if I stop to analyze what I've just done or what I'm doing, I would find it very hard to start again or to continue, because perhaps I get demoralized by what I have achieved. In this phase, when you're writing very quickly, you have to be like a sculptor who has chosen a big rock where you saw a potential figure, a potential person, a horse or whatever within. Michelangelo, so we are not in bad companies here, Michelangelo was famous for this. He could see the art behind the rock. And using this rock analogy, normally when I finally move on to the second draft, I'm now the sculptor using his tools to carve a statue. And this for me is a great moment to get rid of the things that I do not need and may take away readers or viewers from the tale that I want to tell. This is the time when you must be strong and brutal. There is a lot to take out or change, so be prepared, be ready, be whatever you like, just get rid of it. So in the subsequent third, fourth, fifth, etc. drafts I work on, I need to strengthen the structure according to the genre that I'm writing. Yes, know your genre and stick to it. It's paramount to make your story work. And when I say stick to it, I don't mean that your crime story can be comedic or romantic as well, but you have to choose one genre and build upon it. Anyway, after I figured out what structure and genre my book or screenplay is, I started refining my characters, their places in the scenes, whether physical or mental, the way they talk and their goals, and etc, etc, etc. Also, as I mentioned earlier in the piece, you want to make sure that your nemesis or enemy or whatever you want to call it is as powerful or as clever as your hero or anti-hero. So, on top of the classics, perhaps he or she could be the black mirror of the main character, like an evil twin, a cautionary twin if you want. So someone who the protagonist could become if he or she went to the dark side. The dark side. Sometimes these enemies are within, like Tyler Durden in Fight Club, both book and film, or Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In other cases, they are real, physical if you like, threats like the Joker or Ra's al Ghul in Batman. The manipulative type, like Dr. Lecter in Silence of the Lambs.
Quid pro quo, I tell you things, you tell me things. Not about this case, though, about yourself.
Or even the twin in Charlie Kaufman's mad/meta film adaptation, where Nicolas Cage plays both Charlie Kaufman and his fictional twin.
That's kind of weird, huh? It's self-indulgent.
Now, this twin is not evil, but it still represents a threat for the hero, because he becomes more successful than he is, and, well, it is a bit of, a crazy... Is that my car? Damn, is that my car? Damn it!
That's my cue. It's gone. I'll soon figure out what I did. Gotta be quick. Anyway, I bet that clown has been bragging about having a good ending in mind, sheeps and stormy nights, and filling the page with words. Really? Is that the tips, the pieces of advice that he gave you? Did the clown in a suit tell you about the importance of a mid-section, Act 2? No? He didn't, did he? He did not tell you that this is the part when you need to have fun with your character, or at least, tell us more about him or her, and plant an narrative seeds that will grow exponentially, raising the stakes, and either have everything resolved by the main character, but not necessarily. Come on, you could also kill him or her and let the villain win for once. Hello? Anyway, whatever you decide to do, you certainly need to fill each page with tension. Now, I don't mean that you have to turn the whole thing into a horror book or a movie. No, I didn't say that. Tension is more interesting than that. It is that very thing that keeps you hooked to the page or the screen, especially if you've written compelling characters that we do not want to see in trouble. For example, when you find out that the protagonist is in danger. Oh, say no more. Anyway, you know it, but the character doesn't. Or it does, but wants to risk it all. Good at touches. So, we know that something big is about to happen, but we are left in a state of suspense because we don't know how and when this something will occur.
Blaming myself all these years because he wasn't interested in sex or having children. Ever.
In Happy Birthday, My Dear, it's when the wife confronts her husband and the guests.
And the most hurtful thing of all is that all of you knew all along. I bet I was the laughing stock.
In Respect 101, it is the moment when the protagonist finally decide that one of the two youngsters will have to die. Delicious.
One of you has to die, so the other gets that I'm not faffing around and there is no misunderstanding.
Tension can be used in dramas, but also comedy. Stand-up comedians use it all the time. A great funny punchline is normally delivered after a dramatic pause. And if the joke is well constructed, the laughter will follow. And talking about jokes, please don't tell me that he didn't mention to you the one thing that mattered most, the inciting incident. It didn't, did he? Of course it didn't, the clown. It is the moment at the very beginning of your story where and when your main character wants to change. Yet, he or she doesn't know how to, and then something or someone happens in their lives that shakes them to the very core. Turn our protagonists' lives inside out and upside down. A chain of events will follow all the way to the conclusion, where the main character will be a changed person. In Happy Birthday, My Dear, the inciting incident is a telephone call.
Why are you doing this?
Because he's too scared.
To do it himself.
Hello? Hello?
And in Respect 101 is the alleged death of the protagonist's family.
My wife and my little Davy were killed in a hit and run by animals like you.
Either way, without the inciting incident, you have a character that just meander aimlessly as viewers/readers get bored and leave. Damn it. Shh. The clown is back. Gotta leave. Just do me a favor and don't listen to me, yeah? Okay.
I apologize, that was an unfortunate incident. Incident? That reminds me of something. Incidentally, I need to finish talking about characters. You must create characters who, by the end of your tale, will be changed people as long as what you show or tell rings true, and it is a genuine progression rather than a forced one, of course. And yes, it doesn't matter if in real life some individuals don't actually change, we all know that. But this is not real life. This is storytelling, not storytelling. Anyway, moving right along, when I'm finally happy with the overall story, structure and characterization, I get to finally proofread my screenplay or my book. Let me relax for a second now that we have to talk about the proofing of this thing. Finally. So, I have now completed a draft that I'm happy with. It is important that I put my book or screenplay inside of a physical or hypothetical drawer. I don't look at it, I don't even think about it, although you will think about it, but not consciously at least. And if I can work on something else, I'm going to. But for me, it is important not to have anything to do with it for at least 4 weeks. And this is a good period of time because it gives me a fresh perspective on the piece. I couldn't look at it with objective eyes, otherwise you never do. Don't you ever change. Ever change, you beautiful thing. Mwah. So, now a month has gone by and I can finally dig out my book or screenplay in whatever hole I put it in. It is an unsettling but also exciting part of the process. So this is when I will start seeing plenty of issues. Lack of logic, confusing paragraphs and dialogues that make little or no sense at all. Go away! Go away! I hate you! I hate you! No, I don't hate you. I love you. I love you. But I will also appreciate other scenes and paragraphs that make me proud of what I've achieved. And fortunately, you have not sent this version to anyone yet. Imagine if you did though. No. Because you know, and I know, that the temptation to write something and send it away without checking it, out of exhaustion of course, is always strong. But well done, if you have resisted this urge, well done. Alright, now I'm happy with my changes and everything I've done, and I've finally given my manuscript or screenplay to family members, friends, and who I trust. But it'd be advisable, if you can afford it, to use professional readers instead. Family and friends are free, but normally too kind, unless otherwise of course, to be frank with you. Although even if they're honest with you, they may not necessarily be able to tell you what is wrong with your story. They would know when something is off or on, but they may not be able to help you fix it. A professional reader is going to write a detailed report about things that work and things that didn't. And I find that often your family and friends only say that they either enjoy your script, story, screenplay, or they hate them. Very rarely they would tell you, me, or anyone the whys, what, and hows, whatever hasn't worked, ever. But pay extra attention to common factors, meaning if one person has commented on a story issue, don't worry too much about it, it's their opinion, okay? However, if another person who doesn't know this one at all also commented on the exactly same problem, then it is time to truly pull out your magnifying lens and look into the problem yourself. Obviously, if many more mention this issue, well, it's time then you take something else rather than just a magnifying lens. I can tell you that most of the time, if a scene doesn't work, it is because something really earlier didn't work, and there will be like a progression of things that he made this specific scene not work retroactively. Because what is important when you make a scene is to lay the foundations of the scenes. So perhaps, I repeat, this scene would work better if you really think that this scene is important for the story. If you go back and you add or remove information and you see how, whether there is a crescendo, then he gets to that specific point. And if still doesn't work, maybe it's time to rework the whole thing from scratch, because it is a critical part, really is, if many people comment on it. It's time to leave behind the paragraphs, the lines, and scenes that do not work. No matter how many days and nights you have spent on refining them, you have to stay strong, and at the motto, if you love your story, let them go. Do what you have to do. Always remember, you do it for the greater good. Okay, whether you ended up giving your stuff to professional readers or family members or whatnot, understanding the feedback given is an art of its own. It is a very delicate stage where no matter what happens in your head, you shan't, won't, and can't afford to take comments personally. Instead, thank profusely the people who have helped you out, and when you finish doing so, thank them again. Don't forget that these people, especially family and friends, have given you their most precious commodity, their free time. And then, is it finished? All done? Far from it. Not too far, but far from it. You still have to wait a little bit more. Now, weeks if not months have gone past since your last feedback. You've finally figured out what was really wrong and done all of the changes that needed to be done. It is time to give this new version to a new set of friends or readers. Yes, new. Personally, I think that giving your work to a new set of readers or friends is the best policy, no matter what. But the original people who have read your work are now biased. Unless you have drastically changed everything, they know the whole ordeal and their response will not be as effective as someone who reads your work afresh.
See, we're learning already. Now, what was I saying?
Alright, that's all I wanted to say about storytelling. I hope that you have enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. And if you did, please do like and subscribe to the channel. Anyway, until next time, ciao and... What the... That's odd. Anyway, until next time, ciao and grazie.
Huh?